everybody. Just when I thought we wouldn't have enough stories for a stream, we actually have a ton of great stories for a stream. Oh boy. Thank you for joining me. Just so you know, I have a hard out at 4 o'clock. I got to get off at 4 o'clock because I got to get some stuff ready and I got to get to my Scream screening. Just to give you an update, the Scream review embargo lifts at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, but my review will not be going up until later tomorrow because I have my Mando breakdown dropping at around that time. So I want to give that a little bit of space to breathe. But most reviews will go up at 3 a.m. This evening. As for my Scream spoiler review, I'm going to get that ready to go for Thursday. But right now, Paramount is enforcing a spoiler embargo for Monday, the 13th. So let's see who listens to the embargo, because we all can remember what happened with the Last of Us stuff. So that's a developing situation, but I just wanted to keep you updated as to what I'm dealing with. Worst comes to worst situation, the Scream spoiler embargo my spoiler review will have to go up on the 13th, on Monday. So it's a great idea, Evan, if everybody participates. And of course, those who don't go and see the movie, courtesy of Paramount in advance, can do whatever they want. So it creates a little bit of a tough situation. So we'll see how it works out. But I just want you to know, if you're like, where's Grace's spoiler review? That's the situation that we're dealing with. So let me say hi to some people who just joined. Hold on. G Marks, hey, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let's see here. Here we go. Austin, welcome back. Verena, welcome to the show. Chris Gutierrez, thank you for joining. Okay, so as always, try to, the Shazam embargo is on Wednesday, March 15th. And I think it's in the evening. It's in the evening that day. I think 6 p.m. maybe or something. Maybe even later. Hold on, I'll tell you when it is. The Shazam, where's my mouse? There it is. The Shazam embargo is on where is it? 6 p.m. on Wednesday the 15th. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining. All right, so trying to keep your comments to the topic at hand. If you don't, even if it's a super chat, I might not be able to answer you. At the end of the stream, we should have time for 10 minutes of Ask Me Anything. But again, I've got to get off here at 4 o'clock. Chris Gutierrez says, I'm super excited to join your channel. My wife, Krista, and I love you and have always checked out your videos. Aw, hi, Chris and your wife, Krista. Oh, Chris and Krista. That's funny. It's so nice to see you both, and I'm so glad that you've decided to become members. That's awesome. Yesterday, somebody got engaged. Hopefully, they'll have as great a relationship as the Chris's. Hey, Alexander Valentine. All right, let's get started. Everybody. Here we go. All right, story number 1. Boop. The Punisher is back. Jon Bernthal is returning for the MCU's Daredevil Born Again 18-episode show, which needs a lot of content to fill all those 18 episodes. Will he just have one episode? Will he be a recurring character? We'll find out. But I can tell you that he's supposed to show up potentially in Echo, and it was supposed to originally maybe be Jessica Jones, but instead they've gone with Punisher. So that's very interesting. I'm hearing maybe not Jessica Jones just yet, but it's 18 episodes. Everybody could be in the 18 episodes. I think, I'm sure that what they're looking for here is to really make it you got to watch every week because something exciting's going to happen. I'm not saying Christian Ritter said no, Mika. It might not have worked out. Part of me feels maybe they don't want to bring back Luke Cage, and how can you bring back Jessica Jones and not Mike Coulter's Luke Cage? So, you never know. You never know. She might still be in it. But I think that, the hook from Echo to Punisher to Daredevil, I think was maybe going to be Jessica Jones, and now I'm hearing it's going to be Punisher. So that's interesting. I mean, Echo would need to come out first. And so when is all this stuff going to come out, man? So right now, Daredevil is supposed to still come out spring 2024. So then maybe Echo will come out before that. But then when's Ironheart going to come out? And that's why Agatha is set to not come out until 2025. And of course, they have a lot of animation series as well. But they're really trying to slow down a little bit. Slow down. So we'll see what happens. This is Mika said, don't Kingpin the Punisher. And that's true. That's true. Hold on. Let's see here. Do you think each Daredevil episode will be 45 minutes to an hour or 30 minutes? Let's see, Evan. I think that it's more likely that it'll be, well, I'm not sure. I think it's going to vary week to week, just like Mando does. The first episode of Mando season 3 was 35 minutes, about 30, maybe a little under 35 minutes. But I know that the episode that airs tonight is 42 minutes, basically. So I think they're going to just go with the amount of story that they have. Let's see here. And then Twice as Bright says the absence of Deborah Ann Wool and Eldon Henson, Karen and Foggy, has me a little worried. Definitely takes a bunch of the hype away. I would agree, Twice as Bright. It was confirmed with this news today that at least so far, Foggy and Karen are not returning. They, those actors have both spoken out about the fact that they ain't getting no calls from Kevin Feige. And Hollywood Reporter, which I believe broke this story, said that, there's no word as to whether those characters have just been cut or if they will be recast. They'd be insane to recast them. I hope they don't recast them. Hey, Caesar. Or I think it would be pretty bad. I think people would get pretty upset, quite frankly. So I don't think that they're going to do that. Who wrote that? Aaliyah says with the possible writer's strike, they want items to reserve. That's an interesting thought, Aaliyah, but I don't think that's why they're doing a slowdown. I think that Kevin Feige might say there's no such thing as superhero saturation, but I think he knows that, maybe there is. Happy anniversary, Sibu Siso. Thank you for the pronunciation. Hey, Resident Justice. Callum says, amongst the prevalent chat that the MCU lost its magic, do you feel that that's the case even for beloved places like Daredevil? I don't know if the MCU has lost its magic. Slow your roll, man. We just had one, we've had a couple of maybe subpar entries, but I don't think they've lost their magic just yet. I wouldn't say that necessarily. All right, so anyway. Then also, of course, Vincent D'Onofrio is definitely returning, right? He returned in Hawkeye, and I think a lot of us were like, we don't like the way that turned out. Daredevil, of course, came back in She-Hulk, and then that leaves still on the table Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and, all their associated characters. Now, one question, of course, obviously, is are they going to let the Punisher be the Punisher? And John Bernthal has really gone around saying a lot of interviews and stuff about hey, man, if I don't want to do this if we're not going to do it right. And that a lot of people in the military really care a lot about Frank Castle and what he represents for them. But, there's many ways that you can do that. And I guarantee you, no matter what, John Bernthal will say he feels that what they're doing on Daredevil Born Again is great. I think, how much is John Bernthal working right now? The answer is not a lot. So he would, look what coming back has done for Charlie Cox, who also doesn't really work outside of Daredevil. So I think that, of course, he's definitely going to come back. But what Bernthal's, Frank Castle is like in the MCU, I think what will be interesting remains to be seen. Will he even still have a skull, as his logo? It'll be very interesting. I love PGAs. How you doing? And Disney Channel versions of these characters would sound worse, says James Alford. We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. I thought that when Daredevil showed up in She-Hulk, it still worked. He still had his hallway fight sequence. He still delivered a beatdown. He made a little more jokes, did a little more flips. But I got to tell you, I wasn't complaining. I was enjoying it. So that's interesting. Let's do a poll because I hated Kingpin in Hawkeye. Let's see here. Let's do a poll. What do you think of Netflix Marvel characters in the MCU? Boab says, I think that getting the Marvel Netflix verse in the MCU will put Disney and fans' good graces. If they do it right. So, loved Daredevil, not Kingpin. Loved Kingpin, not Daredevil. What the? Who would pick that one? Loved both, And then we'll do didn't care for both. We don't want to be toxic. So you can vote on that one there. So that I think the Punisher isn't really a Disney MCU type character. I think Jessica Jones would have worked better, quite frankly, but this is who they got. And not to say that Jessica Jones couldn't maybe still be in the mix, but she's not going to be the bridge character that Punisher is. Steven says, will they air it linear week to week for 18 weeks or split it into part 1 and 2? These are great questions, Steven. Steven, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. I like your part 1 and 2 idea, but I think Disney Plus, and also for breakdowns, for me, it would be easier if they did it week to week. I love 2 episodes a week. Maybe I could do that. 2 episodes a week I could handle. But, I think breakdowns and the discussion are a big part of the Marvel machine, and it's harder to do that for binges, even when you break binges into 2 parts. Paul says maybe 3 blocks of 6 episodes with spaces in between. That's a little bit what people wanted for Andor, 3 episodes. I think that people were interested in that. And that had such a small audience that they could have done whatever they wanted. Because nobody did breakdowns really for that, because it didn't matter. So we'll wait till it gets to 1,000 votes. We're almost there. Or we'll give you just another minute to vote. I agree with Hugo. I'd go for the 18 weeks. Let's just do it. Boy, talk about combating churn. That's several months. That would be hilarious. CJ says, no shade, Grace, but the optics of not inviting Mike back, Mike Coulter, don't look so good. I would agree with that, but if they recast with a different actor that everybody loves, I think maybe it would go okay, as long as they didn't just recast his character. Oh, thank you, Michael. Michael gifted 5 memberships. I think it's a tough one. I like Mike Coulter. I liked him in the new Plane movie. He's got a whole new franchise off of that. But I got to tell you, I didn't feel he was the best Luke Cage, to be honest with you. I thought they could have done a little bit better on Luke Cage. That's just my opinion. All right, let me end the poll so we can move along. The poll says 45% of you loved Daredevil, but not Kingpin. Well, 29% loved both. What? Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm impressed. Kevin Feige's like, let me cook. 23% for you. 23% didn't like either one. So that's not too bad. That means still like 75 to 3/4 of you are just fine. And then 1% loved Kingpin, but not Daredevil. I think so. I think that's a troll vote. That's a troll vote. Writer Boy says, I'm confused with the new Ant-Man film. If it made a lot of money, why doesn't everyone say it's not doing well? It did make a lot of money, Writer Boy. What's a lot of money to you is not a lot of money to the $200 million that was spent on the budget, not including advertising. Disney is a company. I can't believe that you would say that it made a lot of money. Don't let your fandom, don't look at this stuff through rose-colored fan glasses. Because, then people are just going to dismiss you as someone who's just a fan. You can say it with love. John Lucas says, I feel like MCU is getting messy, keeping Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, and John Bernthal and not asking Deborah Ann Woll and Eldon back. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. How expensive could Foggy and Karen be? And they were perfectly cast. They were perfectly cast, both of them, in my opinion. Hey, Ian. Hey, Kay, Tea and Biscuits. If you have any questions about this, you can ask them now before we move on to the next story. Frog Eater says, well, Grace, if John Bernthal is coming back into the MCU for the series, that must mean Daredevil Born Again is going to be TVMA. No, it does not mean that. It does not mean that at all. I don't think that it will be, quite frankly. I would be very much surprised if it were. Ivan Sarmiento says Kingpin wasn't that bad. I feel that he was. Let's see here. Resident Justice says Variety broke a big Star Wars story just now. Feige and Patty films are shelved, and Taika is planning on starring in his own Star Wars movie. That's interesting. We'll see what happens. Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner. Let's see here. Star Wars Celebration has their big Star Wars panel on, when is that? On the Sunday, no, on Friday, April 7th. This is the big Star Wars Lucasfilm panel, and we should probably get some details then. I'd be surprised if that Taika Waititi movie actually moved forward. That's pretty interesting that Kevin Feige's movie has been shelved. Ooh, that's a little bit of a hand slap. And then Frog Reader says, I know you heard the rating is still being debated, but other sources say it's mature. Charlie Cox says he doesn't know what the rating is, so to be determined. Yeah, I didn't say for sure that it wasn't, but I said I'd be real surprised if it was. And then Voice Inject says Marvel should do an animated team-up show on Disney+. They kind of have that. Isn't that what If is, right? All right, so that's the first story of the day. Hold on, second story of the day. Here it comes. You ready? Boop. All right, so it was announced this morning that Avatar 2 is coming to digital on March 28th, 4K digital, 3 hours of extras. You double your content, but no streaming service whatsoever. And so that means it's not going to be on Disney+, but it wouldn't have been on Disney+. Because as some people were quick to point out, it's technically a 20th century film, as in 20th Century Fox, and the deal is that those movies go to Hulu/HBO Max. So it looks like Disney is trying to keep the Avatar 2 from going to HBO Max. Will it ever go on Disney+? That's very interesting. And also, I think they want to drive digital sales. Back in the day, before digital, that's where Hollywood actually made most of their money, on DVD sales. DVD sales were huge. Remember, it used to be like baseball cards. People had collections. It was fantastic. It was a really big deal. I remember once I tried to buy the Godfather Blu-ray set, and I went to the store, and I said, where is it? And they were supposed to have 100 copies in the store, and they didn't have a single one. And the salesperson was like, that's a lot of shrinkage. And if you don't know, shrinkage is the industry term for theft. So basically, 100 copies of The Godfather had been lifted from the store. But these days, everybody has digital collections. And so for a while, they used to have you had digital collections, right? But now with streaming, I think people don't buy movies really at all because they know they're available whenever they want them at the click of a button through the various streaming services that they subscribe to. So that's totally Steam Music. I like seeing your stories about those of you who worked in the business and knew about that. That's interesting. So anyway, I think they didn't want to call it theft because that just is depressing. CO Gaming, I'm sorry you have COVID again. I'm very sorry to hear that. Feel better. Oh my goodness. Feel better. I'm sorry it seems to be so serious. So yeah, it's a retail term. That's, I meant by the retail industry. So I also think, though, that as some people also pointed out, in addition to the HBO Max angle, I think that they're maybe experimenting with ways to squeeze even more money out of the situation. Do movies have to debut on digital and streaming services at the exact same time? Could you have tiers? Could you have tiers still further yet? Like Peacock does that. Peacock has the movie hit theaters, theatrical, then 17 days later it becomes available on digital or for a very expensive rental, almost full price. And only later does this end up on Peacock. Like, look how long Puss in Boots has been in theaters and on digital, and it only hits Peacock exclusively this Friday, where you can watch it at no extra cost if you have Peacock Premium. So maybe Disney Plus, if this works, is thinking if maybe they could do that. I think that you do end up angering your consumer to some degree, but if you can turn their head with other content like 18 episodes of Daredevil, will they just wait? So I think it's a really interesting thing, and you're seeing, I think it's a little bit tough because people feel stuff's being taken away from them. People are, it's hard to roll stuff back because people are like, hey, I used to get these movies on Disney Plus the same time you dropped them on digital. So I feel like, that puts those things in a tough spot. So we'll see what they decide to do. I haven't bought physical media in quite some time, and I usually only buy digital movies because I want them when they're only available for purchase. So I have a lot of weird movies in my collection that I normally never would have purchased. AJ Jones still buys physical media, but it'll be interesting to see what Avatar can do here. And I'll be curious to see if anybody wants to buy it, considering you won't have the 3D element. I think the 3D stuff was a big part of that. Future movie actor says, I got Puss in Boots last week on DVD. That's great. And then Kyle of the Beard says, definitely waiting for a physical 4K release. Streaming is great, but movies I care about, I like to actually own them physically. That's a cool, I like that picture of you, Kyle of the Beard. And then Miss Bubble, it's always great to see you, says DVD sales were practically the second theatrical release of a film back then. For sure. They, in fact, often did better than the theatrical release. You've seen, I think Matt Damon is famous for giving a little bit of a TED Talk on Hot Wings, I think, of all places, where he talked about how DVD sales are what kept the mid-range movie alive. And when you take that away, that's why you don't see as many mid-range movies anymore, because people would buy them and put them in their collection. So really fascinating to see how the business continues to evolve. It will be okay, says, I'd rather buy digital than rent through a subscription. I don't know. I mean, you have to worry that they might take the movies away at some point, which Netflix used to do. Netflix still has rolling content, but Disney Plus is supposed to have it all the time. Disney Plus, they took Avatar off for a little bit before the movie came out because they did a re-release in theaters. But the whole selling point of Disney Plus is that it's the Disney Vault. So I'm not sure. I think Disney has themselves in a little bit of a unique situation there. Solitude Star says, I still buy physical for movies I really want. I just want to make sure a digital copy code comes with it. The Marvel movies in 4K are amazing. Oh, that's cool. That's very interesting. I like that. All right, so that's the second story of the day. All right, let's go on to the third story. Hold on. Third story of the day. Boom, baby. Final seasons. A lot of final seasons coming around here. HBO has confirmed that both Succession, which starts on Sunday, March 26th, and Barry, which starts just a few weeks later, also on Sundays, on April 16th, are both not only their fourth seasons, but their final seasons. It'll be funny for them to air back-to-back on Sundays. That's going to be quite the night of television. Now, some people are pointing out that Ted Lasso is also supposed to be ending with its third season, which starts March 15th. The Ted Lasso episodes will be dropping on Wednesdays, just like Disney Plus Mando does. By the way, I'm watching Ted Lasso screeners right now. I've watched the first 4. It's a very good season. Very, very good season. And the episodes are long. The episodes are all like 45 to 50 minutes, which is great for Ted Lasso. They are long episodes. But I think that Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis did an interview just the other day where he said, this is the end of the story that we envisioned, but I'm not ready to say for sure definitively that this is the end. Ted Lasso is saying, I think Jason Sudeikis is like, hey man, if they pay me a little bit more money, I'll keep doing it. And he also talked about potential spin-offs. And let's talk about now Succession and Barry in that regard, because they, of course, could do spin-offs as well. So Succession, they have been very clear as to why they're doing that. Future movie actor, you got to get in. You guys got to watch Succession before it starts March 26th. You want to be here for this ride. That's a good point. By letting people know it's the final season, people are like, I better catch up now so that I can enjoy this one final ride with everybody else. But Jesse Armstrong has said, I'm done with, it's all the story that I have. This is it. We're going to go, this is all I'm going to do. So that's understandable. Bill Hader and Alec Berg did not specifically comment on this being the final season of Barry, but they are the creators on that show. I think this is an interesting trend to go out on top rather than milk it for everything it's worth, which has been the trend in the past for Hollywood. But here you have a situation where these shows are going out on top. But they could potentially do spin-offs with some of the other characters. You could see that potentially happening. And then also it does free the talent that's involved to pursue other projects when they're at the top of their game. I think maybe they all saw what happened to Benioff and Weiss over at Game of Thrones and how those guys kept going way too long and shot themselves in the foot and ruined their own careers. Where are Benioff and Weiss now? I'll tell you, not working. So I think that might have scared some creators and been like, hey, maybe we don't want that situation to happen to us. Nicholas says, but isn't Disney selling right again, so no excuse? I don't know what you mean by that, Nicholas. Make sure your questions and comments are typed correctly and, don't rush it so that I know exactly what you're talking about. So I think it might be the Game of Thrones effect, interestingly enough. And then also, what also makes this very interesting to me is that it makes me feel that maybe The Last of Us will end with part 2, just like the games did. Unless they can somehow convince maybe Neil Druckmann to make a third chapter of the games. But, you might think, oh, well, they try and force them to keep the show going. But they might be like, no, 2 is enough. That's the story. And I think I too would have respect for that. Just like I mean, I think what this also does is it makes HBO the brand, not the show specifically. So, because 4 seasons even isn't that much. Usually shows try to go to 5. In the old days when it was network television, the magic number was 5. You needed 5 seasons to get enough content for syndication. And once you hit 5 seasons, they would throw a little party for the cast because everybody would be so happy because that meant they would get a lot of residuals for the rest of their life. So they were like, woohoo! So that's what you really wanted to get to. I think streaming is a different situation because they don't do it that way. They pay you everything up front these days, and they don't even want to release numbers. Thanks, Sensation. I always love seeing your positive comments. But because you have shorter runs with only like 4 seasons, then it really becomes HBO is what people are looking forward to. And they're like, that's fine. You can wrap up Succession. You can wrap up Barry because I know you have something else coming down the pipeline like The Last of Us. And that's fine. You can end The Last of Us because we know that you're going to have something coming after that. So it's a really, it's again how streaming is changing the game. And so I think that's fascinating. And I do wonder what might happen, I just think that's really interesting. I think that's great. We'll talk a little bit more about The Last of Us once we have the season finale on Sunday. The same night as the Oscars. It's so silly and crazy. So anyway, yeah, I think that's very, very interesting. Does anybody have any questions about this before we go to the Q&A? We're doing pretty good on the time. We're doing pretty good on the time. Caesar, can you do a quick explanation or compare? What do you mean? Mark does not care for the idea of a Succession spinoff. Oh, Marvin says, Grace, how does syndication work now? It works the same way, but there's much less syndication. Now what happens is that a streaming service will buy the rights to a sitcom and then just have it on their service. But nobody's really making sitcoms anymore because networks are dying out. So the sitcom would generate on a streaming service already and a deal would already be in place. Now that's why they pay so much money up front because there's no back end deals. There's no residuals. Oh, Caesar says of the show Succession. Succession is like Game of Thrones, but for business, basically. It's a wonderful show. If you like business, you would really enjoy Succession. Spinoffs don't usually work, Kyle, but for instance, Frasier was a fantastic spinoff. I mean, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. Wasn't Wings a spinoff of something? I mean, sometimes they do. House of the Dragon worked out great. It took them a while to get there, but it worked really great. Better Call Saul. Thank you, Franco. That's a great example of a spinoff. That worked fantastic. And Andor, too, to some degree. I would agree. Andor. Happy Days had a lot of successful spinoffs. That's true. Puss in Boots is a spinoff. Oh, look at all the spinoffs. So many spinoffs. All right, so let's do the Q&A section. It is 3:46, so I've got about 15 minutes. Then I got a jet. Stupid Star Wars story breaking when I have to go. Joey was a very bad spinoff, but I kind of liked his Man of the House or whatever spinoff other sitcom that he got. That one was pretty good. Max Keto says, hey Grace, how do you feel about an Oscar curse? Some actors are never nominated again, while others get multiple nominations. I've never heard of an Oscar curse. I've heard of a playing Superman curse, which seems to be alive and well. Just ask Henry Cavill. But I've never heard of an Oscars curse. I know that once you get nominated for an Oscar, the rule is you usually work for the rest of your life, but I've never heard of a curse. Allison, the BTT movie watch along this month, which is for BTT Movie Club members only, so please consider upgrading your membership if you'd like to participate, is Goonies on, I believe, the 19th. Let me check. Yeah, March 19th at 5 p.m. after The Last of Us wraps and before Succession starts. Movie actor says, I became a member before the stream to watch for the one for Scream 4. Oh, that's awesome. I hope you had a good time. That was a really fun watch along. We had a good time. Keith says, what's your favorite episode of The Bad Batch this season? The one with Crosshair, when Crosshair has to go to a facility that's been under attack. And I don't think it's aired yet. I think it was like the 15, the second. I think it's the one that comes out tomorrow. I think that was my favorite one so far. It was really good. It was so good. DL Nugro says, Grace, what are your final thoughts on the Oscars? I hope it's not a total waste of all of our time. That's what I'm thinking. I'll be live tweeting it. I'm excited. I hope you're having a good day too, Angela. Hi to you and your brother. Callahan says, well, on Twitter, I came across the Reddit thread saying that Secret Wars will be split into 2 films and there will be 3 Avengers movies. Well, that's a Reddit thread. So, I mean, it's just a rumor. Steam Music says, hey, Grace, Scream 7 got greenlit today. How do you feel about that news? I didn't see that as being official. Let's see here. So I don't know how to feel about it. Writer Boy says, could I use you as an inspiration for a character in my novel? Well, inspiration, I guess, Chris Gutierrez says, do you know what's going on with the Kill Bill movies? Can't find them anywhere, and I love those films. It's weird. Some stuff, Chris, new member with his wife. Chris and Krista want to watch Kill Bill. Well, the problem is sometimes there's like someone who won't let it go because of some kind of music situation. Just some things are stuck in a weird limbo. Like, for instance, Murphy Brown. Someone brought up Murphy Brown the other day, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was a great sitcom. That would be cool to watch. But yet, no one has the rights to that. It's not available anywhere. Braden Duke says, thoughts on Edgerton saying the MCU was not for him. Oh, if his publicist or manager should be like, don't say that. H. Tiz says, I'm surprising my wife with the Little Mermaid theater rental for her and her friends. Because she is a Disney princess. Would this help with the ticket sales for the movie? I'm sure it would a little bit, but what do you care? Little Mermaid isn't going to live or die on your theater rental. And I think, doing something so special for your wife and her friends is just beautiful. And it's just really cool. And that's such a nice thing for you to do. Husband goals. All of your wife's friends are going to be like, she's so lucky. So that's great. That's a really nice thing to do. Franco says, when are we watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World so I can upgrade my subscription? Well, suggest that the next time that I'm asking people what everybody wants to watch. Look, Rob just upgraded to Movie Club. That's awesome. Let's see here. Dan Blaster says, hi, Grace. I need some advice. I have an interview for an assistant director's course tomorrow, but I'm nervous. Any tips or advice? I guess stay humble. And really make it about the work and the learning experience. I think sometimes I've seen it when people talk about industry stuff, if they're like talking about the big dreams that they have, I think it tends to make the other person nervous, right? So just focus on how you're excited about the course and just think about the now. It's the same advice I've seen for actors and auditions. Don't think about getting the part, just think about having a really great audition. So I guess that's what you should think about. Just don't think about getting into the class. Just think about focusing on having a great interview and be genuinely don't come across as fake. Make sure you're genuinely interested in the person you're talking to. Braden Duke said, I just answered Braden. Let's see here. Ryan Key says, any rumors on the potential Aragon TV series? I've not heard anything about that. Future movie actor says 3 Black Panther nominations remaining to see. Oh, Best Picture. Every time I see BP, I think Black Panther. That's awesome. You can do that by Sunday. Solitude Stare says, do you remember watching Sopranos and The Wire on Sundays? Then Game of Thrones years later. HBO truly is the king of Sundays. It's true. What they've managed to do is just beautiful. And as I said, they're coming for Mondays, and they're doing it. I hope you caught Perry Mason last night. If not, go watch it. Perry Mason Season 2 is incredible. Cebu Siu, oh darn it. Okay, it says, can Fury of the Gods surpass Shazam and Black Adam's box office? There's so much male-driven content this month to compete with. I'm not gonna lie, it ain't looking good for that movie. Let's see, it ain't looking good. At least it has the weekend to itself, basically. Let's see, okay. Hey Max has just applied to transfer colleges, and your content helped me through a lot of the struggles I've had at the school over the past 2 years. I'm sorry to hear you were having a rough time, but I'm glad I could be of help. Wrote about you in my supplements, and I'm hoping for the best. Oh, good luck, Max. Break a leg. Let's see here. Ann Stucci. Ann, I like your picture there. Thoughts on Ultron coming back for Armor Wars. That would be fabulous. They really were trying to get Ultron back. I don't know why James Spader didn't want to do the voice anymore. How expensive could he have been? Although I gotta say, the guy they have coming in is a great ringer. Let's see here. Hey, Schlock. That's such a cute photo. Roku says, Grace, without spoilers, do you think the ending of The Last of Us is going to hurt its popularity since it's a bit divisive? I'm not sure. I don't want to comment on that. I don't want to tilt it either way. I think you know what I think is really going to be the main talking point? That it's a short episode. For such an important subject, it is pretty short. It's only around 40 minutes, which I think is a little crazy. And we'll talk about it. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. BM says, thanks for the videos. Love from a Kuwaiti guy. Oh, that's so cool. I love talking to people all over the globe. That's so cool. The Chris channel says, hey, Grace, do you feel excited for any upcoming Marvel projects? I feel the excitement level has died down tremendously. I miss the golden days of the MCU. No, I don't feel that way. I'm still excited. I'm still excited. I'm particularly excited for Secret Invasion. I'm very excited. Loki season 2, I think the Disney Plus series, I feel very good about their slate this year. The movie actress says, you can do a watch along for Scream 5. Probably not. Let's see. SMR Goose says, how do I know if I'm in the movie club? Well, what level of membership did you join? There's 2 levels of membership. I think if you click the join button, you should be able to upgrade. If it doesn't allow you to upgrade, you can unsubscribe and then just resubscribe at the higher level. Alexander Valentine says, I was having so much fun rewatching your Injustice character trailer reactions. Oh, that makes me feel really nice. Especially with Mortal Kombat 12 around the corner. And I think they might have some pretty cool DC DLC characters. But that makes me feel very nice. Those were very cool. The fighting on that was really neat. Let's see here. Franco's excited for Loki season 2. All right, I got 6 minutes left. I got 6 minutes. Hassan says, will you be covering the upcoming Suicide Squad game? Probably not. I think it's a little like Gotham Knights. I think the interest in that has just gone away. William Wallace has just wanted to give you a little money for being a fellow Wanda stan. She needs to return. Thank you. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Thank you for helping to support this channel and allowing me to do what I do. I really appreciate it, especially when it's very slow like it is right now. I love Wanda, and I'm sure she will be back. It seems like it might take a little bit, but, I don't know. I don't mind that because I want to make sure that she comes back right. She survived a multiverse of madness, so thank goodness. Innovative David says, speaking of Netflix characters in the MCU, I'm excited, hopeful for the Fox vs. X-Men to show up. I've told you before, they're showing up in Deadpool 3 and I think Secret Wars. So Kevin Feige, those were his first movies that he worked on. He liked them. He wants to say goodbye to them and I think put his own little stamp on them, which is great. Future movie actor says, love the first 2 Ant-Man movies, both kind of enjoyed the third. There won't be for sure there won't be a fourth. Hey, paparazzi. Stephen Turner says, OG Little Mermaid watch along before the new one. That's not a bad idea, Stephen. That's a great idea. Maybe we will do that. I would like that, actually. I would like that a lot. I'm going to write that down. Masterword 648 says, I'd like to physically buy some Criterions. Did you have any before the mold? Wally had a great release recently. I didn't really buy Criterion films. I did have, of course, like everybody, I had a collection. My parents still have a huge collection at their house. But we'll often stream a movie that's sitting over there on the shelf. It was fun to look at them and to own them, but it's just so much easier on streaming. But I'm not a big collector. The mold broke me of ever collecting anything. Oh, my pleasure, Dan Blaster. Break a leg. I'm like, who knows how long I'll have it for? I don't collect anything anymore, really. Although I did buy myself some miniatures, and I love them so much. I love it. Abdul, I'm also getting a little bit into Legos. Book reading's not working out as well as I'd hoped. But Legos, I'm into Legos. I bought a DeLorean. I got to build it. So Abdul says, hey, Grace, watching from Houston. Glad you get to react to the story for The Last of Us. One of my favorite stories over the years. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm having a wonderful time. Hey, paparazzi, I'm glad you were able to say hi. Thanks for sticking with me for so long. Rodney Dollar says, Grace, should we do a watch along for whoever wins Best Picture? That's another good idea. You guys are full of some good ideas today. Maybe we will. Let's see who wins. Asami wants another poll. What will we? Okay, let's do what's your favorite movie for March? That's very nice that you guys want another poll. So let's do Scream 6, Shazam 2, John Wick 4, and Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, hold on, and then I'll get to these while you guys vote. Oh, I've got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes. That's right, we ain't watching Tar. I'll watch this. Are you trying to attend that Warner Brothers event in New York City, May 17th at Madison Square Garden? Heck no, I don't want to get COVID. You don't need to be in there. It's going to all be online just a second later. Let's see here. You know, I think a lot of people are like, ooh, in the room. It doesn't matter to be in the room. It's useless. In fact, I can't even get the content up as fast as if I was in the room. Let's see here. Future movie actor says, I miss seeing the MTV Awards coverage. Well, yeah, that's really fallen off in terms of people caring about it. Writer Boy says, before I go, one more question. What keeps you motivated? What makes you continuing to do the things that you do? A real love. You know, they say do what you love. And I'm very fortunate that I do love what I do. And I have to say, interacting with you guys is a huge part of it. I mean, I absolutely love that element of being a YouTube creator, whether I'm interacting with you here in the live stream or on the comments on a video or on Twitter. I feel like I know so many of you, and it is a big part of what just energizes me and gets me excited. Also, you never know what's coming around the corner because, you know, you're waiting for big announcements and exciting things. And I think that's great. I like that it's, you know, there's always a great news story for us to talk about, either on screen or behind it. So fun. Hey, Randolph G, do you think Puss in Boots now has a chance to win the Oscar since it's a great movie and has become a huge success? I think it's almost impossible. It's definitely going to be Guillermo del Toro. And that was a nice movie. It was nice. That's not as good in Puss in Boots, but that's okay. That's okay. Puss in Boots knows how good it is. Oh my God, it's 4:00. I'm sorry I couldn't do shout outs, but there should be a live stream tomorrow. Okay, and it won't be as rushed because my screening tomorrow is a little bit easier to get to. All right, everybody, I love you so much. I had a great time with you as always. And 3 a.m. Mando breakdown will be going up around then, and then my Scream review will be going up hopefully early-ish tomorrow, as fast as I can get it done. It's really bad for me to stay up all night because it just throws me off for the rest of the week. So my Scream thing will go up. Oh yeah, the poll. Let's see. John Wick! Oh, but Scream was close. John Wick and Scream were close, but that's great. That's great. Poor Shazam. But it's tied with Dungeons & Dragons. It's going to be a great month. I'm very excited about the month. All right, everybody. Again, I had just a wonderful time with you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.